Welcome to the Irish Wrestling Podcast. I'm delighted to be joined today, Mr. Steve Maclin. He is a former Impact TNA World Champion, and he has given appreciate his time with us today. So we're here to talk a bit about his time in TNA and the future plans for himself. First of all, Steve, how are you? How are you feeling? You've had a hell of a weekend. You had one hell of a match against Nic Nemeth on Friday at Sacrifice. How are you feeling after it?
I'm a little upset I lost, but I got caught with a couple super kicks in the old danger zone from Nemeth. But I'm feeling good. Came up short, but I think we kind of stole the show that night. So I'm feeling good about that.
You took one hell of a bump on that spear into their ringside area. How did that feel? Like you looked like it looked crazy from
Oh, I
watching
ate
at
the
home.
floor, so it didn't feel too good. No, it was a swing and a miss on that one. I was really going to end it with that spear, and just Nick just somehow sat himself up, saw it coming, kind of thing, and yeah, took a nice spill. Felt really good on the outside. Knock on wood, all limbs, everything's good. But
Good.
yeah,
Yeah,
feeling good though. Feeling good.
Thankfully, it looked wicked from our end. How was it working with Nick? I know you had probably were familiar with Nick. Had you worked? Had you ever had a one-on-one match before?
No, this was our first time ever locking horns in the ring, other than us kind of running in on each other for the past couple months, getting to this match at Sacrifice. This is the first time we ever locked up and kind of just went toe to toe, and it was everything that I thought it was going to be, and more. Just because it's to go into a ring with Nick, and for a guy of his caliber from the heights that he's been in his career, and still the fact that he's considered underrated in his career is kind of crazy. But just for me to show the world that I can go toe to toe with Nic Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, and Mr. Steal the Show, I thought we stole the show, and I thought I stole the show on my end of that match.
I thought so too. And if anybody is looking at, if they haven't seen it yet, go on to TNA Plus, go on DAZN, the DAZN, or if you're watching, TNA have the new deal with India for the Warner Brothers Discovery deal. So if you're watching anywhere in the world, go back and watch that match because it is wicked, hell of a match.
Thank you.
You've worked with a few people who've come in recently. You've worked with Trent. I know you worked with Trent Seven in the past in tag team action. You worked with him. You have all these, free agents coming in, and TNA seems to be the place where everybody wants to go now. Someone else, Hammerstone has come in. He's, starting to make an impact. Pardon the pun. Somebody else who he hasn't signed officially yet. Mustafa
No,
Ali.
it was announced this past week that Hammerstone was announced. Yes,
He is official. The X Division champion Mustafa Ali isn't officially signed yet. Is that someone you've been looking to, while you work your way back up to the world title picture? Would you look to go up against someone like that?
Yes, I would. Mustafa and I actually have a history. We both had our same trial together in 2013.
Oh, really?
So it's kind of funny to see full circle coming almost over a decade later to here we are. He's the X Division champion, and I'm on my way getting back to the world title. So that X Division title always has an option C to it to get back to the world title. And also, I wouldn't mind an X Division title run too. So
Long
to
overdue.
take the crap out of a politician's always been a dream of mine. So
I think that's a lot of people's dreams come true if that happened.
So yeah, but the both of those names of him and Hammerstone, and even with Trent Seven, just to have the relationships I've had from knowing them on the independents or in the former company, it's just fun to see everybody kind of wanting to come here and to see the atmosphere that TNA has in the locker room from top to bottom and the drive in the back and what we want to strive for and just be the best wrestling show out there, which I feel that we are the best wrestling show out there.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people give us credit for it, but I think it's also people are starting to latch onto it and realize that too. That bubble's bursting on how good TNA is, and we're only getting better. And we're only 3 months into the new year, and we're already going into rebellion again at the Palms. So it's we're hitting that stride.
It's a good time now. The rebranding of TNA seems to have rejuvenated people's interest. Everybody grew up with TNA. If you're a wrestling fan, everybody remembers TNA. So when the Impact was there, it kind of lost people, but there is people now coming back saying, I used to love TNA, and now TNA's on TV, and you see all these, so-called free agents coming in, and they recognize them, and now they want to go in and see what's happening in TNA, and it's great for everybody involved with TNA to have that happening right now.
Yeah, it's that nostalgia effect, and it was always the thing too when anybody would ask, who do you work for? It's like, oh, Impact Wrestling. Oh, I don't know. I'm like, do you remember TNA? Like, oh, I remember TNA. It's like, yes, wrestling. So to have the brand back of TNA Wrestling, but then also the showcase of Impact, TNA Impact on Thursday nights again, having the Impact Zone back, it really brings it to fruition of what that nostalgia of the name is and that rebrand, and now people are kind of latching onto it again, and that sleeping on us is no longer a thing. It's just we're again hitting that stride, and moving into the new year has been just nothing but just hitting the ground running.
Yeah, it's true that yourself and Rich won that match. It was the buy-in for a
Yes.
show that was the very first match under the TNA umbrella. Is that correct?
Yes, I took a lot of respect on my end and his end to just go out there and try to show out a little bit on the pre-show. Just a lot of people were like negative towards it too. I didn't understand, which I took it as a compliment just because I get to go set the tone for the night.
Hmm.
And to get the first win in the new era of TNA, it meant a lot. And just to show where the future's going, especially with Steve Maclin being in TNA,
Yeah.
where we're going in the future. That's one of those things where, granted, my contract is coming up in May, but to just show where we're going and to show this company where I want to be, it really set the tone.
I'd say it was a goosebump bump moment, the first ever TNA chant in so long, and you're in the middle of it, and they're all chanting
Yeah,
along.
it was pretty cool. It was hard not to try to react to it, but it was
Yeah,
fun to just look around and just soak it in.
yeah. You mentioned obviously your contract's coming up, and you haven't obviously re-signed it, but you are showing like it's like a, I don't know if it's an audition, but you're showing them upper management, what they're missing out on if they don't re-sign you. Like you're showing up, and all your matches are world beaters. Like you're out there and smashing it up with everybody. So you can't do much more than just keep out there and keep telling them, look, this is what I get, this is what I got, this is what I bring to the table.
You take it one match at a time, and every match that you're out there, any promo you're out there, it's always an audition. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one of those things, whether you have the job or not, you're still working for that spot. And the best advice I've ever gotten is just never act like you have everything already. You have to earn it every time you're out there, and act like you're just completely broke and at the bottom. Just you gotta want it. You want to keep grinding, and that's, I don't know. If you want to sum it up to my military career, from being a grunt of being infantry, like that's just how I live my life in general. I am a grunt in life, where I'm just gonna take the good, take the bad, and make the most of it, and give every bit of me to that moment. And that's what I try to do every time I step through that curtain.
I like to touch on the military because I spent 5 years in the Irish Naval Service here. It's not exactly the Marine Corps. We don't go to war or anything. It's nothing too fancy. Like, but how did your time in the Marines, prepare you for life in wrestling? Was there any similarities to the
It is
training?
so similar, and I'm sure you can understand. It's very hurry up and, well, from military background,
Mm,
very hurry up and wait, and that's pro wrestling. You get to the town, you hurry up and wait. You get to the building at 1 o'clock for call time, and then you're standing by to stand by.
yeah,
All right, what's the match? What segment are we on? Where are we at on times? We're like, all right, who's winning? Like, just what's the creative, that process? All right, when's this pre-tape? When are we doing this promo? It's just very much Groundhog Day, but that's the best part about it, is when the time does come to go into work, you lock in and you get downrange, and it's just balls to the wall of just delivering every bit of you to that moment.
yeah. I can imagine, like, the producers or the management are sitting up over a table, and you're just a piece on the table. Move them into this zone, move them that. This is how the show's going to go.
And we're very, in TNA, at least the locker room, any locker room I've been in has always been very tight knit, especially the
Hmm.
guys things, but it's very family oriented too. We're all pushing each other. We're all striving for more, and we want to one up each other, but that's also the good thing of where it creates competition within the locker room, and it just allows people to elevate their games. And that's the one good thing, is you want to do that when you're in the military too. You want to push each other more. You want to see who can go the distance, and PT, and then it gets you all prepared for the actual combat of things. And that's the same thing of going out there and wrestling. We just want to keep up in the game each and every time. And that's the one good thing I love about TNA, is just everybody's upping their games. It's since the new year.
Yeah, yeah. I got to talk to you about the Monster Factory because you did train under
Yeah.
Larry Sharp, who is from this side of the world.
Yes.
What was he? I know you trained under Danny Cage, who was also a Marine. Was there any differences between their style of training? Was there, a good cop, bad cop over everybody, or
No, Danny wasn't a Marine. Danny wasn't a
oh,
Marine.
was he not? I thought he was a
No,
Marine.
nobody was prior military there. No, Danny
Okay.
Cage took over from, he was a previous talent on the Independence, and then got hurt, and then just took over from Larry as a coach.
All right.
And he's one hell of a coach. He helped me with everything from the beginning of locker room etiquette and treating veterans and listening, just keeping your mouth shut and just asking the right questions when you need to, or not asking questions at all, and then how to get it, just the proper fundamentals of getting in the ring and out of the ring. And same with Larry. When Larry was around, he tended to yell at me a lot more, because I
Yeah.
think I would know a little bit more because I was watching tape or trying to do things,
Yeah.
but he wanted to stick to the basics and keep it simple. And then I had the likes of Bill Wiles, Blue Meanie coming in, QT Marshall, or Marshall was there at the
Mm-hmm.
time. Martinez, Damian Priest was there at the time and would show up from time to time. So I got to learn from guys that had the experience, and it helped elevate me to within a year and a half get signed by WWE with Gerald Briscoe coming in for a seminar. And once he came in, he told me don't go anywhere else. And I just started taking bookings outside of the Monster Factory, just
Yeah.
starting to branch and start building a name for myself. And he just came in and shut that down quick. And I was like, why would I not listen to him either? So it's just kind of crazy to think, yeah, just it's an awesome story. And I'm very blessed to be
Yeah.
seen, because these guys 10 to 15 years to get that look and to get seen and brought in. And here I was a year and a half at 25 years old getting signed. So
It's crazy. It's very unusual for that to happen, for somebody to get signed so quickly.
yeah, I'm
So
very blessed for it. So it just, granted, it taught me a lot in my time, even in WWE to now in TNA. I've learned so much from being on the bottom of the card to going to the top of the card and then back and forth. Now it's always a learning process. You learn something new every day in the ring or behind the scenes, and that's what I try to take in each day ever go to work.
yeah, and it's something that people that like you said, people spend 10, 15 years on the indies, grinding. Is that something you're looking to do now? You're starting to take bookings outside of TNA. You're looking, we have dates available between May and July, and you're coming over to the UK for a couple of dates. Is that
In
something you're
April,
looking to
yeah, I'll be
do?
in Scotland for a few dates in April, which I'm very much looking forward to. I got well, my father's side, my grandmother is all from, my whole family side is from Scotland, so
All right.
looking forward to coming over to Scotland and kind of wrestling out there, wrestling on some shows, and then also have some seminars and just to enjoy it, because the independence has been what I've been enjoying. I never really got to live that little bit of
Yeah.
life, so like going on the indies now for me is a lot of fun because I get to not dumb myself down, but I try to work a little bit smarter and try to learn a little bit more where I can play with the crowds. It's not live TV, so I want to try something new here and there and see if it can work towards TV. And I treat it pretty much as a live event. But then I also love scouting and seeing what talent is out there and what could be good, so that when I do go back to work and if somebody asks me, hey, is there anybody out there that you see, and I can mention a name, or oh, I saw this, like this is cool, or I can even steal. Everybody steals from everybody, so I can steal a spot that I see maybe for somebody else, because at some point in my career I'm going to be a producer. I know that for a
Yeah.
fact. So for being behind the scenes and seeing all the different styles and seeing different meshes of things and what works in front of certain crowds and what doesn't work in front of other crowds, that's how you hone your craft, and that's where you get better at this. And wrestling really is an art form, and that's one thing I try to work on the most, is trying to learn and listen and keep my mouth shut while I'm there and just watch. And it's fun because there's so much good talent out there. There's so much athleticism nowadays, stuff that I can't even do, which just blows my mind, of some of the springboards and ranas and everything people are doing, which is very high risk. I'm not doing it. That's why they can do it. They're doing it way better than I can. So
That bump into the timekeeper, sorry, was high risk enough.
yeah, high risk and zero reward on that one.
Just before we let you go, just the future for yourself and TNA. I know you were teaming with the Rascals recently, and
Yes.
they're in the combat gear, and they're kind of going in with your it's a Marine Corps motto, isn't it? The
They
toward
wanted to
toward me.
surprise me, being the rascals that they are and the jokesters that they are. They wanted to come in camo and my t-shirt and just be yes sir, no sir. I'm like, please stop, just stop. And God, I love those two, and Zach and Trey. They're so talented. The sky's the limit for those two. They're like the modern day version of DX, but their own version of it,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
of being the Rascals in their treehouse. And hopefully one day Myron comes in and they can finish that trio there in TNA and get it together. And even us as a four-man team would be something to mess with there.
That would be nice to see.
Yeah.
Join the mayhem, as you say.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of fun too. They're allowing me to open up a little bit too and have a little bit more fun with it. Not to be as so serious as that I am, and so focused on getting the mission complete. Even though we are out there to win the match, it's just fun to step back a little bit and have some fun.
Excellent, excellent. Any future, plans? Anything else that we need to talk? Anything coming up that you haven't advertised yet that you want to let people know
Uh,
where
this
to find you?
this Thursday on TNA, we have myself and the Rascals versus Speedball Mountain and Nic Nemeth. All of us kind of getting redemption for our losses at Sacrifice. I know I had a little bit of faith in them to go out there and win the match on their own without my help. Obviously, they didn't do that, and obviously, I didn't do that on my end. Bad decision, I guess, on my plan. So we'll try to make up for it this Thursday. And if you don't follow me at Steve Maclin on Twitter and Instagram. I have my Pro Wrestling Tee store at Steve Maclin, and also any TNA merchandise, official TNA merchandise, is at TNA Shop. So check it out.
Absolutely. As I said, lads, in the start of the show, you can find it on TNA Plus and DAZN on the YouTube Insiders package, as well as the Warner Brothers Discovery package if you are watching in India. Steve, been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your time in Europe. If you're around Philadelphia, in April, we might see you around. But until
I will
then,
be.
thank you for your time.
I will be in Philadelphia, so I'll see you then around Mania time frame.
Cheers. Thank you, man.
Boom.